So, I couldn't stay away for too long, and I just had to come back to record stuff. So, I'm just going to go through and talk about some pictures that I've been editing and kind of going through my thought process behind them. So, I recently took some pictures for my college's badminton team, and I'm not a sports photographer by any means, and so I'm still learning once again, but I just wanted to kind of go through my thought process when editing these pictures. As you'll see, I'll be kind of showing you the edited versions and then going back to the original that I have, just to kind of be able to compare what I'm kind of talking about. The first one that I'm starting off with is this gentleman with the red shirt. As you can see, I cropped in on the picture, centered him a bit more, and I feel like the motion of the picture is quite good already, and frankly, like color-wise, I didn't do all that much for this picture. This picture might not actually have that much edited on it. So you know what? Instead, we'll go to another picture instead. So, okay. So, here we have this dude, and he is about to serve the birdie over to the person on the other side. And this picture I definitely kind of edited. I think it's a lot better than the original, but once again, it's still a little blurry in some places. And I would say one of my biggest struggles currently is still trying to figure out color. I feel like the kind of tone that I'm going for tends to be too warm or too green most of the time, and I need to find... I think it's part of, figuring out the style of, editing that I'm going for. So hopefully I'll continue to kind of improve on that. But here's the original. I think that, obviously storytelling is a very big part of kind of photography. And the original, you can get an idea of what's going on. But I think one very blatant thing is that there's a lot of empty space. But I think what the empty space does against the natural storytelling of the picture is that it doesn't add intensity into it. Whereas if we crop it in, right, it feels a lot more intense, and it feels a lot more like a 1v1 kind of situation. And so I think that once again, the quality of the picture itself might not be the best, but I think that once, the photo is cropped in, I actually think that it is a pretty good picture just on its own, from a storytelling perspective. Now from an editing perspective, this photo, it definitely still has maybe a little too much green, to be honest. So let me see if I can actually go in real quick and fix that real quick. So drop the saturation of the green down just a tad. Yeah. That looks a little better. Once again, I know that this is an issue that I have, so, hopefully it'll get better as I continue to edit more and more pictures in the future. Here's a bit more of an action shot that I took, and here's one thing that I definitely need to work on as far as just sports photography goes. I need to bring my shutter speed up. This photo was shot at 1/200th, or 1/200 frames per second, or shutter speed. I'm sorry, I don't know. Yeah, 1/200 shutter speed, and the ISO was 100. It was at f-stop 4. There's a sufficient amount of light in this picture, I feel like. So I definitely feel like I could have brought the shutter speed up a little bit more. But once again, I think that with a lot of these pictures that I'm kind of showing you guys, the main thing that I feel like from my editing that's helping these pictures is just simply cropping in. Once again, I'm showing the original right now, and there's a lot of empty space, and I still think that from a motion perspective, like the storytelling is still there, but I wanted to make it a little bit more intense, and this is one of those instances where it definitely feels like it's a little too warm. So let me actually bring the slider down a little bit. No, that's maybe a little too cold. So, yeah. I'll probably edit this more in the future, but as for now, I'll kind of just leave it at that. Next one. This is probably one of my favorites from this batch of kind of pictures. My work process for this tends to be, I'll go shoot, I'll filter all the pictures, the ones that I like and the ones I don't like. I'll just delete all the ones I don't like usually because, unless, I'm not doing this for a client necessarily. I'm in the badminton club, so, this is simply for practice. So, yeah, I if a client would want, all the pictures that I took in a particular session, then, yeah, I'd probably be able to provide that. But, if I can, just to kind of save up or to kind of make it easier from an organizational standpoint, I'll just kind of delete the ones I just don't like. So, yeah. So, I actually have two final versions of this, and I'll show you the original. For original, now, once again, these photos are shot in RAW. So, when they come out, just by default, some of the colors might seem a little muted, and as a whole, they might seem a little underexposed. Now, I have two edits of this, and to be honest, I think that they both look good. My intention with this photo shoot was actually to kind of work on my masking. Now, I'm doing two things for most of these pictures, maybe not all of them, but for this one in particular. If I go to my masking tab here, you'll see that I have two kind of layers that I'm masking, one of which is on the bottom, and it is a gradient that I'm creating. I can't remember which account on Instagram I saw to do this tip, or I saw this tip from, but the idea is that it was a person doing concert photography, and essentially what they would do is they would, add a gradient at the bottom of their pictures, and they would, lower the exposure on it. And so that way, like, the bottom is darker and it kind of gets, lighter as you go up. So I did that, and then I also created a separate layer of just the person in the shot, just to create a little bit more separation. And I think that works because of how much more in the foreground the person is in this picture in comparison to the rest of the scene. I think out of all the pictures that I took from, this batch of photos, this is probably the best, like, the composition of this photo is probably my favorite. So I like this one a lot, honestly. And, there's this darker one that's a bit more intense, in my opinion. And I think the masking is a little bit more obvious here, but it's only, I think, like, if I showed this to someone else, they might not, notice it as much. This, I titled it the dark, intense edit. Another goal that I wanted to kind of try and do for this picture in particular is that, you get a sense of how wide the court is. And specifically, I wanted to incorporate some way of having the spotlight kind of almost shine down on her, to make it more, I wanted it to give a feeling of, like, almost like a performance. And here's the thing. This batch of photos I took for a competition that they were having within the club. And so, in a sense, it is a bit of a performance, in my opinion, at least. So I think that, from a composition standpoint and from an editing standpoint, this is probably one of my favorites I took from this entire session. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one. So, once again, I need to work on, shutter speed for my photography. So this is definitely one of the more messy pictures. And I'll show you the original. And as you can see, I cropped in on it. And just kind of centered it a bit. Honestly, the form, the shape is good. It's there. I just wish that it wasn't as blurry as it is. So, I think from what I can do as of, my current skills and whatnot, it's definitely not something that I think I could fix. But, maybe in the future I'll get better at it. But as for now, this is kind of the best I got for this picture. So, yeah, I apologize. There's not that much more I can talk about. So this is a special one, because this is my girlfriend. So she's very adorable in this picture. She's smiling a lot. Let me show you the original. I think so. With all the pictures of her, what I did was everyone else, I think I was trying to capture more so while in action, like while playing, whereas the pictures of her, I kind of took mainly when she was just kind of standing, or, maybe not doing as much. And I'm pretty sure it was because even though, like, I'm critiquing the fact that my shutter speed wasn't at the right setting for the other pictures, I feel like part of me knew that and was proactively just trying to take pictures that didn't have as much movement. So for her pictures, I kind of worked around that. And as you can see, once again, cropped in. And I mean, you can see in this original, once again, the colors are a bit more muted. And it is quite dark. For example, on her clothing, this blue in the back, I kind of wanted to add a little bit more life back into the clothing and the blue in the back. Also kind of make her skin pop just a little bit more. And once again, just crop in. So yeah, I like this one a lot as well. And I think this is also a very good edit. And there's another, yeah. So this one, from a composition standpoint, I think it's a little unfortunate that I didn't get this person in the background, their racket and frame. I think what's important is that, like, I need to show the mechanism by which the sport is kind of being participated in, I suppose. In this case, if it's badminton, I should show the racket. And if I show the racket, I should show the entire racket. Which is why I automatically deleted any of the pictures where it had only one person, and if half the racket or something like that was not in frame, then I just automatically didn't like it. Because from a storytelling perspective, what's the point of kind of doing sports photography? For example, if you're showing a person swinging a bat and the bat's not in frame, right? You lose out on what you're trying to emphasize here. So in this one, like, let me show you the original. The original isn't that much better, to be honest. It's unfortunate. I don't know what I was doing framing wise. Like, there's literally 50% of this frame is nothing. I could have moved the camera over a little bit, and I could have had the other guy's racket in frame. So I'm a little upset with myself on this one. But once again, I think the posing and the shape of the foreground element, which is this gentleman in the back, this gentleman in the black shirt, I think it's fine, and frankly, it works for what I'm trying to do. But it is unfortunate that the person in the back, I can't see his racket like entirely. But once again, just trying to add some more life into it. But once again, this might be a little too warm. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. And then this last one. It's my girlfriend again. She's looks a little bit more intense in this one. And honestly, not that much different from the original. Once again, the priority was just adding some life back into the colors that were in the shot, and also on the skin tone as well. As you can see, I'm zooming in there, and you can see how muted it looks in comparison. Maybe it's a little too saturated on the edited versions, so I'll have to kind of go back for that. I mean, this blue it's very blue. You can tell with the line on the ground just how different it is. But yeah, once again, these pictures, there's not like a whole lot of editing that's involved with them. And once again, I'm still practicing a lot of my editing, and so if there's any suggestions that you guys have, please feel free to kind of leave it in the comments below, or tell me that I'm bad. I don't mind. But yeah, I apologize for kind of how possibly lackluster this video might seem, and the audio quality is probably not very good as well, so I apologize for that. Once again, I mentioned in my previous video, due to some family problems, I had to come back. But I wanted to create some more short form content, surrounding my visit, coming back to Taiwan, and I hadn't gotten around to doing any of that stuff, and so I'm probably going to just be kind of pasting some stuff that I took pictures of or recorded while I was here. I want to be consistent about this, even if it is something difficult to kind of do at the moment. And if I sound different right now, it's because I'm sick. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to kind of get back to the normal setup next week. Once again, appreciate you guys stopping by, checking these videos out, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.